Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another Hype Immune Reviews, where hype comes to die. I'm School Writer, and today we're going to talk about a classic, The Bodyguard. Everyone knows Whitney Houston depiction of Dolly Parton's Will Always Love You. Yes, it's from Dolly Parton. But does it hold up to the test of time? Especially for someone who isn't into romance like me? Let's find out. So, what is it about? The Bodyguard is a 1992 movie with an interesting story. It was originally pitched in the 70s, written by Lawrence Kasdan for Steve McQueen and Diana Ross, but it was deemed too controversial at the time. Racism probably, definitely. It went through several rewrites and pitches till Kevin Costner nabbed the project 15 years later as a producer alongside Kasdan, with Mick Jackson as a director, and after some more attempts they were able to film it. This is the story of Frank Farmer, played by Kevin Costner, a former Secret Service agent that worked under two presidents, Carter and Reagan, quitting after the latter was shot. He lives as a professional bodyguard, helping several high-profile clients, but never staying too long with the same person in order to avoid attachments. His life changes when he is hired to protect Rachel Marron, played by Whitney Houston, an actress and music superstar who has been nominated for an Oscar award and also has been receiving several death threats and letters from a stalker. Friction immediately begins when Frank tries to help bolster the security of Rachel's manor, and the songstress proves herself to be somewhat of a diva, thinking that her bodyguard is paranoid and going too far. But okay, we all know where this is going. They fall for each other, friction happens, the assassin shows up, it's a classic. Visuals. This is an interesting movie to analyze visuals wise. The themes of the completely different worlds of Rachel, a diva, and Farmer, a bodyguard, were well explored visually wise, both in the sets and wardrobe. Said sets are quite well done, with Rachel's lavish manner being explored bit by bit, be it in her studio, her sister's private workout room, pool, etc. That contrasts with Farmer's more humble abode. Those also contrast with the locales they visit. Rachel goes for shows in enormous, extravagant clubs, and stays in enormous, luxurious hotel suites. But Farmer prefers to go to country bars. The diva has at her disposal many lavish wardrobe choices, ranging from dresses inspired by Metropolis, or to be used in shows, or just gorgeous white gala dresses, while Farmer just have suits, a brown suit here, a black suit there. Photography is also good, nothing outstanding but good. There aren't many pans or long shots, mostly will be straightforward scenes of people talking, which again isn't anything bad. This is a simple romance movie that is carried by the actors and interactions. The big scenes, the most famous ones, were chaotic with quick cuts, but while I don't like when shots take less than 3 seconds, it's understandable why it was used. It's a tense situation where nobody knows what's happening and everybody's scared. Sadly, the directing ended up being stereotypical to the point that sharper eyes can easily pinpoint who is the real culprit behind everything by framing alone. On the other hand, the long scene at the start with Farmer holding his client on the ground was quite nice and really good shot. Acting. This is actually a weird bit to tackle because it's like untangling a mess of several knots. For those who don't know, Kevin Costner used to be a big star before several bombs like Waterworld sunk his career. And as often happens, stars tend to congeal into a specific acting style. At the apex of his career after Dance with Wolves and Robin Hood Prince of Thieves, his normally good-look stoic acting style started to get hella wooden, and here you can see it happening. Costner tried his best to emulate Steve McQueen, using even the same style of clothes and haircut, and there are moments where he breaks into genuine acting, but most of his expressions boil down to the Kevin Costner face, where he just looks at nothing specific, as if he is pondering if he left the stove on while half mumbling, disinterested. The kicker is, a lot of people won't notice or won't even care because it fits his character. He is, after all, a stoic bodyguard detached from his clients, barely showing any emotion. On the other side of the equation, you have Whitney Houston, a singer who went into this movie completely untrained in acting and went with her charisma alone. It was reported that both Costner and the director told her to not pursue acting classes in order to be more natural, and they were right. Watching this movie made me sad because damn, she had the chops for it. Truly a tragedy of what happened to her in real life. While sometimes wonky or cheesy, Whitney nonetheless pulls a good Rachel, a diva that is used to have everything she wanted the way she wanted and now has to put up with a guy that isn't head over heels for her. And through Whitney's acting, Rachel was adorable, even when she was being a bitch. I think that I don't have to make any comments about her singing because, come on, it was Whitney Houston. She had a powerhouse set of pipes. The rest of the cast, considering the simplicity of their characters, ranged from okay to wooden. I'd say that even if the directing didn't give the culprit away, his actor would end up doing so because how skeevy he played the guy. And Michelle Richards did a good job for her first role in movies. In the end, you have a wooden acting from Costner playing a rough, detached and professional man, aka Wooden, clashing with cheesy but adorable Whitney, playing a spoiled but good-willing diva. It actually developed a functional chemistry. Nothing superb or electric, but to me it did the trick. Also helping matters was the fact that both Costner and Whitney developed a genuine friendship while shooting this movie, and it shows. Both are comfortable with each other. It felt like when you hit the right answer to a math test but with a completely different formula. Writing. This is a romance movie about two very different people that clash, come to an understanding and then get closer, intimate, but circumstances separate them again. As such, the writing is, fittingly, straightforward and simple. And like I always say, simple is good. The heavy lifting of this love story comes from their chemistry between Farmer and Rachel, and this is built both by their scripted interactions and the actor's charisma. Like I said before, Costner and Whitney had a good chemistry, and the writing was fitting for both characters with good dialogues. In fact, one of the highest points to me about this movie are the dialogues. Nothing superb, but it's quite snappy, fluid and simple. While nothing new or surprising, it is well done and competent. Farmer is hesitant to work with celebrities due to the past problems, hinted but not exposed through dialogue, which is always a plus in my book. Turns out, Farmer got stuck with a celebrity for 4 months inside a boat, but yet he agrees to help Rachel due to the insistence of her agent. At the start, Rachel is dismissive of Farmer because she doesn't believe him to be necessary, and an important point that the writing took care to cover was that it wasn't just her being a diva, her employees kept her purposefully in the dark about the threats surrounding her. So, with the base for their interaction set, the duo starts clashing. Farmer wants to bolster the security, which troubles Rachel's productions. Rachel scoffs and shoots barbs at her bodyguard, to which Farmer counters with snappy responses. This amuses the singer because Farmer doesn't cower or whine like one of her underlings, and he doesn't fall to her charms either, which makes her interested. But at the same time, Farmer isn't exactly a monk, and he is caught watching tapes of his boss. Situation escalates later, Rachel realizes that she needs Farmer, both get closer. The mystery of who is trying to harm Rachel is actually well done, simple and with some nice red herrings. Since the focus of the flick is the romance, the mystery didn't need to be overly deep, but it went some steps beyond anyway, and was overall well built, except the ending, but that goes for spoilers. Hints were thrown here and there, and enough clues to make people make their own ideas and reach their own conclusions. Like I said, it's simple and straightforward stuff, and it's done competently here. Though, weirdly, my grasp with this movie came from the dangly beats because it wasn't simple enough. There's an annoying tendency of this movie trying to idolize Farmer, from time to time making him even seem more badass than necessary. Dude was already Secret Service and effortlessly kicked the ass of Rachel's original bodyguard. I don't need to hear an exposition dump from Farmer's father about how he was absolutely married to his job and other spoily heavy details. By the way, Why is there even an exposition dump? The movie was good enough with show don't tell so far. Anyway, yes movie, you told me that he served under Carter and Reagan and he wasn't there when Reagan was shot. I don't need to hear it another time from another person. There are some extra cheesy and dated moments like Rachel with the sword, but that's more due to the 90s cheesy, I won't fault them here. The problem comes after the middle of the movie, after Rachel and Farmer tangle. Things get a bit too extra dramatic to the point of getting melodramatic for no good reason. Rachel flip-flops between trusting Farmer to wanting him gone and vice versa. Dramatic points are suddenly dropped without reason, more on that than spoilers, and suddenly there are leaps of logic that border to the absurd, which get even worse at the movie's climax. While it didn't downright ruin the flick, by the end of it, it made me understand why critics hated this movie. The writing is simple, it's cliché, it's overdramatic, and there are logic dangly bits here and there, but on the other hand, the writing knows who is the target audience, and it's quite good at its goal of serving them. So no wonder why viewers loved it. This movie is the epitome of romance popcorn flick. Thus, if you like the genre, yeah, you are probably gonna have a good time. Soundtrack. Really? Do I really have to comment on the soundtrack of this movie, aka the best-selling movie soundtrack of all time so far? Everybody knows this movie by the singing alone. Fine, anything that isn't sung by Whitney is actually quite competent. Nothing superb like Morricone, but it's quite good. About Whitney Houston singing, the soundtrack can be basically considered the apex of her career. Everybody knows the song of this movie. Everyone mimics the hell out of it, either because they loved it or because they couldn't stand it being repeated over and over. Trivia. Fun fact, the poster of this movie was Costner's idea. He correctly said that people would love that image. And it's not Whitney Houston, it's her body double. I may grill Costner for his acting, but there were several moments where his input of this movie were really good. For example, it was he who suggested Whitney to sing I Will Always Love You a cappella. He gave her instructions on how to act with her eyes and so on. He could have been a good director if... Wait, he directed Postman. Final thoughts. Yeah, no surprise here. If you like romance movies, go ahead. This is a classic for a reason. I understand why critics didn't like this movie, but everybody else loved it. It's simple, it doesn't have many technical innovations, and the story is cliché, bordering melodramatic and cheesy, but there's chemistry, it's good enough, and it has a hell of a lead and a hell of a soundtrack. Spoilers. So, after a date that ended messy with Rachel and Farmer fighting, the couple splits even though Farmer keeps doing the security, whereas Rachel starts acting like a diva again. Sure, no problem. Only for the stalker to call her and she freaks out, telling Farmer that she'll trust him again. Farmer decides to go to his father's isolated house near the lake. Honestly, yeah, I know this is just cliched bait to show Farmer's soft side and use his father as an exposition vehicle, even if it was a hell of a dumb idea. While they are isolated and nobody knows where they went, now Farmer is isolating himself also from help and endangering his father. He could have gone back to the manor, which was guarded, or went to a safe house. He also brings Rachel's sister. Why? Why? Because her sister was the one to call the hit. And it's time for the movie to spill it. Conveniently though, her sister doesn't know who she hired because she was drugged off her gourd when she placed the hit? What? Seriously? I mean, well, a lot of people did a lot of bad stuff while buzzed, in contrast, and not a good one, with the seriousness of the situation, it's downright stupid and goofy. Hell, just make the contract through phone with a modulator or something more creative. In the end, Rachel's sister is killed and everyone just gets back to the manor anyway, thus making the decision of going to Farmer's father, snowy generic resorts kinda pointless. Rachel easily and quickly gets over the fact that her sister was murdered, which is weird. and it's never clear if Farmer told her about who hired the assassin. But it's almost time for the movie to end anyway, and the drama needs to escalate! So they go to the Oscars, and Farmer thinks that the assassin will try to kill Rachel there, in one of the most secured events of the whole country. Even Costner himself said that if he could, he'd change the location of the climax, because this is a stupid idea, and if this happens for the sake of the bombastic drama. Which is made worse because, for some reason, after a whole movie being chased by the assassin, Rachel still decides to go diva mode on Frank by the end and again yell how he is making her paranoid when there is a very real threat against her life that everybody should know about. The assassin tries to shoot her. There is the famous scene of Farmer throwing himself in front of Rachel to take the bullet for her. Everyone tackles Farmer even if he is known to be her bodyguard, and even then the movie forgets Farmer has a ton of people swarming him because suddenly he has a clear shot of the villain and shoot his head. Good end of the movie. It's a whole heap of problematic writing that is there for the sake of overblown drama. Well, that's all for today. See you all next time, and remember...